Hello, everyone. Said, your sous chef here at the GBS Pavilion Kitchen. I want to take you guys behind the scenes so you guys take a look at what our kitchen looks like. We are currently in the process of getting dinner for you guys, but I figured you guys want to hear about this kitchen, don't really get to experience it too much, so I want to take you behind the scenes so you guys know all the equipment that we're working with and all our stations. Come on, let's go. So starting off when you walk in immediately from this door right here to our left, we have a hand washing station, which kind of reminds our personnel that when they're walking into this kitchen, the first thing we need to be doing is washing our hands and washing it for 20 seconds so that way we are able to maintain a sanitary work condition here in our kitchen. So we want to make sure that this is readily available for us to use. Alongside, we also got our fire extinguishers ready for any kind of emergencies. And then to my left, I got our big old mixer. This mixer right here helps us make a ton of recipes like cakes, or sometimes we use it for recipes like shredding our pulled pork recipes. We will take a hot piece of pork shoulder, stick it in there, and just let the mixer do its work and shred all the meat apart. This piece of equipment right over here is basically our station to hold all our bowls and plates for any desserts that we serve to you guys on your trays. So it helps us stay a little bit organized. And then to my right over here is basically where we keep all our cutting boards, our lids, our sauce pots, a couple of pitchers, some baking sheet trays. And then right over here is a very, very important piece of equipment that we love to use very, very often. It's our Vitamix, which helps us modify our food recipes into recipes like a puree. We are currently in the process of actually making a puree. So as you can see, this right here is going to be a pureed recipe. And what we do is we prepare the recipe as if it were a regular diet, and then we take that recipe and stick it into one of these pitchers with enough broth or liquid, and we basically just blend it. And we use a food thickener to give us the right consistency. So we're going to turn it on just for a second just so you guys can hear and see what it's like to work one of these things. Now I'm going to cover the top so it doesn't splash everywhere. And after a couple seconds, you start to see it all kind of sticking together and formulating, and we'll pour it into our pans to where then later we can serve it for either dinner or lunch depending on what this is scheduled for. All right, now to my right and left over here, these are just prep stations for our servers and our cooks. This table mainly gets used for preparing specialized drinks from our front of house servers. So they have this entire area to work with. Up here on the wall is a couple of recipes and sort of breakdown of what we do every day for our residents here in the pavilion. And then obviously on the left hand side over here, it's mainly used for our salads and dessert station to where they are preparing those recipes in this general area. Got a couple seasons here. Obviously our toasters for our toast and anything else that needs that. All right, folks, now we're back here in your dry storage area. This is where we mainly keep all your dry goods for any of the recipes that we have scheduled on your menus. For instance, I have brown sugar here for you folks. I have a variety of things that just need to be stored in a dry storage area. I have snacks on my right hand side over here for our neighborhoods. Um, we typically fill these every day at night for our residents overnight in case they get hungry. All the breakfast cereals you see up here. Got a bunch of dressings and crackers and whatnot for, like I said, either recipes or just for a salad in general. I do also have canned canned goods. I got soups and veggies on this rack, and right over here behind me, I got beans and tomatoes and fruits and desserts. We do always carry soft drinks on all the neighborhoods and on their trays if needed. So this is generally where we like to keep that stuff. Right over here behind this cart, I have a couple of special dry goods. For instance, earlier when I showed you how we puree our recipes with a food thickener, this is the bulk of it. This is what it looks like. Usually comes in a bigger box. I like to put it in a bus tub just so I can keep visual on it and see whether or not I need to order more. But this is the bulk of it. So when we run out there on the kitchen, I can come in here and grab more if necessary. And I also have these packets that help us with our thickening of any food or drinks. These are very helpful for us when we're making our drinks, especially those specialized drinks. It's a gel, and it basically just comes in a 2-ounce packet. We pour it in based on the consistency you need, and it sets us up for success. This is, like I said, the can rack goods. This area right here mainly is like fruits and some desserts like caramel sauces or cherry sauce. We typically only use these to fold into ingredients, or we're serving out fruit on the menu. Hello again, folks. So now we are in the actual kitchen prep area. Behind me are the freezers, coolers. I want to kind of walk you through to see which cooler and what goes in what and what our freezer is. This is our freezer. I'm just going to open the door. I don't want to go in there because it gets cold. But if you can see, this is where all our ice cream, some of our desserts, our frozen vegetables, and all that gets maintained in here. And it is regulated by a sensor. And we also got thermometers on the outside and inside, actual physical thermometers. I can show you one right in this cooler right here. This is cooler 2. This is our produce cooler. This is where we keep our fruits, our veggies, any produce you can think of will be in here. We have some sauces we use for recipes in here as well. Also, if we create a salad of some sort, we'll store them in Cane Bros, label them, and keep them in here. And this is an example of one of the actual physical thermometers that helps us regulate the temperature for every one of these coolers or freezers. And then to my right over here is our cooler number 1. This cooler, I call it the dairy and meat cooler. Most of the stuff that we have in here is going to be dairy, yogurt, cottage cheese. And I call it the meat cooler because we also use this cooler to pull all the meat right over here that we're going to use for the week for the rest for the recipes that we have scheduled on the menu. So these 2 racks right here will always be filled with meat every single week, and that kind of lets us know how much we're using, how much we're going to need, and it's very helpful. This shelf over here is basically just all more dairy, cheeses, and of course the back stock of all the milk that we order sits on top of this pallet in these crates. So when you get your food tray, you'll get a little carton of milk depending on your diet or your preference. Okay, walking out of the coolers facing this way, we are in another prep area where cooks focus in on creating these recipes for you guys. We have two prep tables on each side of the kitchen. Um, I want to share with you guys something that I found out about this kitchen after I was hired in here. This whole layout was completely different. This kitchen you see on this, or this kitchen office you see over here, originally wasn't in this area. If you look at the floor on the tiles, you can actually see where that office used to be. For instance, this little cutout down here. Originally, this is where the office used to be. But once they remodeled it, the office got moved right over to this area over here. And this is currently the kitchen office. This is where I sit down and I try to curate menus for you guys, work on orders, and etc. All the office work that needs to get done here. Behind me is our ice machine. It's a Hozaki. Might be saying that wrong, but it's fairly new. It's very helpful for us to when we're making our drinks for our trays. We got a Coke machine right here, right behind you, that has everything that you see on the labels. And we also got a coffee station right over here. This coffee station sets up our coffee for our neighborhoods when we go and need coffee for our tray cards or out in our dining room. And then I want to show you guys this piece of equipment right over here. It's our double door cooler that also stores already dipped up like salads or juices. And there's your cold drinks, couple of yogurts, etc. It's a very cool piece of equipment because it has access on both ends here and on the other side. So it allows the front of house and the back of house to collaboratively work together to have this set up to where we both use and pull what we need as we go depending on our menu. Now this is the actual food line. So the way this is broken down is all these steam wells you see back here is where our food is kept. Currently, dinner's already been cooked. It's ready to go. We just have it covered. We're taking our final temps. The cook will then start to dish up their plates and leave them right up here in our window underneath our heat lamp with these hot bases. And we normally have two people stationed on this end, one here and the other one on the other end. And we'll be pulling these food plates onto a tray, which is right behind me over here. We'll set up some silverware. We'll look at the ticket, see if they need any kind of condiments, like you see again right behind me over here. Add those on this tray. Once we verify they got what they need on this station, we pass it down over to the other station over here. And this person finishes up that tray on the other end with all the drinks and the salads that I just showed you guys. Now, we keep ice cream in this cooler as well, outside of our main freezer, just because when we're serving on the line, we want to have this readily available for us. And so it's easier for a person to turn around and grab ice cream from this cooler rather than having to go all the way to the main freezer. So we keep this fully stocked and ready to go when we're serving the line. Right over here is our soup kettle station. This is where we keep our hot soups. Every day on our menu, we have either chicken noodle or tomato soup, always available for folks. But sometimes it changes depending on the menu. We might incorporate a recipe like a clam chowder or a tomato basil, depending on what's on the menu coming up. So this is where our soups go. Over here This loud noise back behind me is our dish room. We're currently in the process of getting all these dishes cleaned up. Um, this is probably our most renovated area. Um, we just got a new dish machine for you guys. It's only a couple months old. It's not that old, but it's functioning very well. And this wall back here used to look exactly the way this wall looks like right over here. So that wall actually never had any kind of stainless steel cover. So this got added onto the renovation of the dish room, and it helps us maintain this area a bit more cleaner with that. Right behind me, this is the loading area of the dish machine. This is where all the dirty dishes and pots and pans come in. And then as we rinse them off and pre-treat them, we push them through and they come out on this end clean. This is the clean section. So we will unload from this station and let them let them air dry on this rack or on these racks as well for lids. Okay, guys, we're about to wrap up the tour of the Pavilion kitchen. I want to take you guys right behind me where our dining room is. This is where our folks come and sit down and have their meals. And it's also going to be the area to where we're going to be hosting our birthday dinner events just to see if it will function with more room. So come on through. I can show you guys what this layout looks like. So as you can see, this is the dining room. It's fairly new. I really like this dining room because it keeps things a little more at home feels, and it's newly renovated. We got tons of space in here. I feel like we can mainly host all our events here in the Pavilion. As a matter of fact, I think that's where we mainly host all our events. Um, I think in the last video that we showed you guys with activities, there was an event right in here. So this area is a good common area to have these kinds of events. Uh, so yeah, we got more table space right over here on this area. And to be honest, I don't think that we normally use this entire dining room on a day-to-day basis. It just depends on the resident and the people that wants to come in and eat with their family members, how full this would get. For the most part, only about half of this dining room will get used. The rest of it will not. But on good days, we'll have people here and here, which is very nice to see. And that about concludes the tour for this kitchen and the dining room. I want to thank you guys for lending me your time. Tell us your name, your position, and how long you've been with us here at GVS.
Well, my name's Elaine Miller, and I have been with GVS 7 or 8 months now. And I've been a registered dietitian in different healthcare facilities over the years, but the last few years I've been working as a consultant with a dietitian consultant company, and I worked at smaller nursing homes around the state. And so I do a lot of driving and watch the corn grow, and I got to kind of get the feel of what smaller towns are like, and it was really enjoyable.
Okay.
But oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So I am really glad to be in one location. I just live a few minutes from here, and it's just really nice to get to know people. And the added bonus is that this is my community, and I often see people I know from school or church or just different locations. I saw a equipment rep, and I knew her, and it's really fun to be in my own community.
All right. And how does GVS differ from other places that you've worked at?
Well, I really love how people work really hard here, and they work hard at a lot of places in healthcare, but they work really hard. They care a lot. Um, the quality of care is really good here, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. I think I agree. The group of people that we have on our team is fantastic. Their work ethic is phenomenal. So
Mm-hmm.
I concur with you on that. What are some of the diets the Pavilion Kitchen works with, and how do you handle each one to synchronize in with a healthcare plan?
Okay, so we have diets for diabetics and for people that might have high blood pressure or other heart issues. And then we also have a variety of mechanically altered diets, which would be there's other names for it, but chopped or ground or pureed. And at times we thickened liquids to keep people from aspirating. So um, we work with that closely to give the patient what they need, but we do not want somebody to have so many diet restrictions that they don't enjoy the food. Our really number one priority is that people will eat well, enjoy the food, and do it with the least restrictions because we don't want to cause any harm, but we would like to just people enjoy the food and make sure they aren't losing weight.
Okay. What is the most common food request, and what is the strangest food request?
All right. Well, Ed and I talked about this yesterday because I was coming up with a blank, but he said um, by and far the most common request is grilled cheese sandwich.
That's
And I
right.
know
It is.
people love grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, and we actually send those with meals fairly regularly. And to segue into that, some of the stranger things are perhaps in the sandwich line too, like the things that people like to enjoy on their sandwiches. And if they enjoy it, that's fine. We aren't making fun of anybody. But things like maybe peanut butter and butter sandwiches, or my husband said they used to eat banana and mayonnaise sandwiches. So everybody's got different likes and dislikes.
I think it really just varies based on the individual and what they grew up on. Because
Right. Uh-huh.
you're right. I mean, I've had strange requests of like grilled cheeses with pickles
Right.
or
Right.
peanut butter on chili. To me, that's strange. I know it's been
Right. Right. I've never heard of that
a
one.
common thing in certain places, but yeah, they're a little bit odd. Um, let's see here. Who decides when a resident's diet needs to be changed, and how do you handle that?
Okay, well, I can make recommendations. I can't write orders, but I can make recommendations if maybe somebody's blood sugar is high and they should have a little less sugar. Um, Nursing can make recommendations. Ultimately, it would be the nurse practitioner or the doctor who would make that call. But even our diabetic diets are really as liberal as we can, and people might get half a piece of pie instead of a whole piece of pie. But again, we want people to enjoy their food. We do want their blood sugar to be under control, but we don't want to over restrict people.
Agreed. Yeah, I respect that. I mean, I can't stress enough how important it is for our residents to understand that we have to be able to give them the recommended health choice, but at the same time, we don't want to force anything on an individual.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do when a resident refuses their modified diet? How do we handle that situation?
Okay, well, at least initially, we need to send them the food that's ordered, the correct diet, and there is residents' rights. They can decline it, they can ask for something else, and once they ask for something else, it's our position to give it to them. The exception might be if somebody's at a choking risk, and then that would need to have a more serious conversation with the doctor, the nurse practitioner, and the family. Some places do waivers saying they understand the risks. I haven't seen that done here, but um, we dig into it. I mean, we can't just let can't just give everybody things that wouldn't be allowed for them, but we want to make sure that they're safe and that their POA and the residents involved in discussing it. Sometimes it might be referring them back to speech therapy to see if they really need that diet, or maybe things could be liberalized, or maybe there's another way to handle it. So,
Okay. Well, on the topic of speech therapists, how does a speech therapist synchronize with your job roles?
okay, we love speech therapists. They will, if somebody has, if they've been told that somebody's not swallowing well or they're coughing while they're drinking or eating, the speech therapist will do an evaluation, and sometimes that will include what's called a modified barium swallow. So the speech therapist can then determine the extent of the swallowing issues, and they will recommend the consistency and the consistency of the diet and the texture. So we work with them pretty closely, and um, that's really helpful. I mean, nobody likes, pureed food or ground up food, but um, really the goal is to make sure that they are eating and drinking liquids safely and getting enough calories in.
Very nice. Um, how does your role differ from a CDM, and why do you prefer your position over the CDM position?
Okay. So, dietitians can run kitchens. I mean, there are dietitians in smaller facilities. They might run the kitchen and do the ordering and schedule the staff, and do the clinical end as well. Um, but you would not want me running a kitchen or ordering food. So I am I'm pretty happy doing the clinical work and watching people's weights and making sure they aren't unintentionally losing weight.
I think that's probably the most important part about having a team here is people like myself can chime in and help
Yes.
smooth things over in an operation. Um, which team member would you give a shout out or kudos to that is not a part of the dietary department? And it can be a department as a whole as well. It doesn't have to
Right,
be an
right.
individual.
Okay, so and kudos to the food service department because they don't get enough credit. Um, and probably we were just talking about therapy, but not just speech therapy, but also occupational therapy because they will do evaluations with residents that might need some special equipment so they can feed themselves. So that gives them dignity. It just makes the dining experience better. And they also can do adjustments to wheelchairs if people need to sit up straighter or something doing meals. So therapy is very important. But there are just so many departments here that I mean we can't run a facility like this without absolutely everybody, and housekeeping and IT and just everybody's just really important here.
Yeah. All right, Elaine. Tell our audience a fun fact about yourself that people may not know about
Oh
you.
gosh. All right. I've been thinking about this and I'm pretty boring. Um, so the couple things I thought of, and one of them is that I had a nephew born on my birthday, and that nephew had his son born on his birthday and not induced. So we like have this family birthday, which is just really special.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
very special.
And also, I can sing the United States of America song in alphabetical order, but I won't do that right now.
You're referring to each state.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
That is impressive.
Last question for you, Elaine. If you can be any fruit or vegetable, which would it be and why?
All right, I struggled with this one too. So I'm going to go with an orange.
Okay.
Because it's sunny, it's appealing, and it prevents scurvy.
Okay, fair enough. And that's all the questions we got. Thank you all for watching our interview here with Elaine, our registered dietitian. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you.
Thank you.